And we are live. And
Woo.
Grady, our guest, has just arrived because someone did not send him the link until a couple minutes ago. So, Grady, good timing. You got here right as we started the show.
Just, I
So,
mean, yeah,
Cool.
like you meant to do it.
Oh
yeah.
man, thanks for having me. Sorry I'm late.
Well, yeah,
Again, you're
yeah.
not late. You're spot. You are time on target. Perfect.
Perfect. All right, cool. I'll take it.
And not
So,
only that, but tonight you are part of an extra special Bald&Balding kind of new thing. I got to go out of that. We'll get an echo. Um, or I'm sorry.
technical difficulties already. This bodes well for the
Yeah,
show.
we'll figure it out. So we obviously stream on YouTube, and we do that on X as well, and another slot available to us. And so tonight we start our journey into Twitch,
Oh my gosh,
and
that's
yeah,
amazing.
it's very exciting. And when some people actually, join us on this thing, we can say it all again so someone can hear us.
Okay.
So
Hey,
there's
we have
there's
a
our
viewer.
first person. All right, we
Cool.
don't know if so viewer,
Up.
who are you and where are you watching this?
So, Grady, tell us about yourself first because we have zero content planned. Um,
All right. I am based in Portland, Oregon, and I work 9 to 5 as a software engineer, but I have been doing book reviews for a couple years now, just locally, that I've been putting out there. And recently I went to Worldcon, and that's where I met you, Mike, and I met Palmer Pickering, and I got set up with some folks at SFF Insiders, and so I started talking with them since Worldcon, and they decided to look at some of my work and invited me to start sending them some guest reviews their direction. So that's been fun, but yeah, I mean, to back up even further, I born and raised here in Portland. I originally went to school for environmental science, and I was not a very technical guy, but yeah, I decided to get into tech. I really enjoyed the act of creation and creating and doing art, but I couldn't find a lot of study work in any of these fields. So I decided to teach myself coding, and I've been doing that for almost 10 years now, and it's been a
You,
lot of fun. But I like books and reading a lot too.
you just decided to teach yourself coding?
There are some courses here that you can take, and yeah, I saved up some money and did that for 6 months, and yeah, it was pretty intense, but yeah, it was good. I got to join a community of other people who are also trying to up level their own skills, and yeah, at the end we had like a pretty good cohort of students, and so we went out into the world like fledgling little birds, and we had to either fly or fall, and most of us were able to find our way, and we were, landed jobs and broken into the industry. It's pretty special time back then, but it's a lot more difficult these days. So I have a lot of sympathy for people trying to do the same thing.
Yeah.
so,
So if
Ro,
if we're going to plan a heist, we can come and get you to be our hacker guy.
That's right. Let me crack open my beverage as I do that.
What do you got? Is it one of those craft Portland craft beers?
No. It's polar seltzer water. Georgia peach though, to mark
Oh,
the end
okay.
of summer. So I got a case of that.
We're all
so,
we're all at the seltzer water stage of our lives now. That's awesome.
so, Grady and I met at Worldcon. And Ro, this is just for you. He has now reviewed a couple books on the SFF Insider site, and oh, look at
Hmm.
there. Proxima Station is one of them.
Wow.
Proxima Station. Yeah, that was the second book, and it was a fun little novella. I really enjoyed that. I was so thrilled when you gave me that and the Halley Traveler, and I like a short read too, so I started with Proxima Station.
Yeah, Haley is not nearly as much fun. There's much
No,
more depth and despair and angst and cringy scenes. Um,
I can't wait. That's
Oh,
nice.
and we have to say hello to the one and only Bo Kelly, who is here. Um, so, how long have you been reviewing books, and why did you start? Because I think about this, and I'm like, oh, that's just extra work, and I stop. So, tell us how you're different from me, and
How am I different?
industrious.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
finishes books. That's how he's different than you.
Not nearly as charming.
Oh,
I,
jeez.
yeah, no, I would never pander, but I would.
Mike does. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm waiting. No, I'm kidding. I when I got into coding and my whole software development career, all my hobbies and the things that I really like to do went on hold. I was very much nose to the grindstone. I was very busy. It was barely enough to stay active and stay on my 2 feet. So once my career kind of got settled and I had a more steady 9 to 5, it seemed like, and I had energy at the end of the day, not just in my body, but in my head, I got back into reading in general. And I started picking up some books that I used to never read before. And I think one of them was like, I was introduced to like Neil Stevenson from a friend of mine. So I read a few of his books, and he's hit and miss with me, but I really enjoyed some of his books quite a bit, and I really respect the crap out of him. He's such an amazing writer. But I read him, and it was some of those works were more challenging than others. And then I read like 100 Years of Solitude, which really challenged me, and I didn't know if I was even going to finish that book. To be honest, I didn't know what I was reading. I just heard it was like a very good book about magical realism, and I dove in and I was like, what is happening? But some of these books, like that one, it really kind of stuck with me. And once I was just like thinking about it, I just started like to dig in and to research and analyze and to look into these books more and more and to think about what is it that's affecting me and like making me want to think about these books so much. So it got me into wanting to just kind of consider books and stories and why they work and why they have the effects that they do. And when I was done, I would like share them with my friends, just on like Instagram, and I would like share stories with a couple blurbs, and they would just be these gut reactions. And I really enjoyed that. I thought it was a fun way to like get rid of all the noise and get straight to the heart of the emotional impact or the effect that the work had on me. And I just thought that was like pretty fun. And, having some spare time finally, I thought, I'm really enjoying this. Like, this is a fun use of my time. And I've always wanted to do writing as well. I took some creative writing courses when I was in community college, shout out community college. And I had a heck of a time. They were talking about this new thing called indie publishing, and you don't have to go trad route anymore. Indie's a thing. And this is like back in 2010 or something. And I'm like, all right, cool. Like maybe one day, but I'm like not a good writer right now. And I don't know what I would write about. But it was just always in the back of my head. So getting back into reading, having some brain space and some mental capacity, it was nice to just have an outlet, I would say. In my day to day, I'm communicating all the time. I'm writing code, I'm creating structures, I'm creating design patterns and putting things together. But at the end of the day, like not that many people really get to see it or really get to experience it. Maybe, it's business to business software that I do most recently. So it's been fun to kind of engage in like a larger community. So that's why I decided to try to see who else is out there. Who else can I share this with? Who else can I get connected with? And it's been pretty new still, to be honest. It's been very, very new that I've really started to even try to go beyond like my group of friends. So it's been a fun start.
So Grady, I have a new question for you that we're going to have to start asking guests. What is your feeling towards spreadsheets? Are you a fan or not?
And I think that's a great question. I'm a fan, but they're generally not for me. But I am a fan. I take notes. I take a lot of loose notes is what I normally do. I like a good unorganized system of notes and just jotting down thoughts. But man, if someone shows me a spreadsheet system, I'm thoroughly impressed. But I tend to get kind of antsy and like anxious when I run up against the friction of setting up the systems and the different walls and patterns that you have to adhere to when you do a spreadsheet system. And I think once you have it set up, all that goes away. So it's really that initial hump, but I just don't ever want to get over that initial hump, I guess. And so I just will have like a Google Doc or something, and I'll just throw everything in there.
All right. So Bo has a question for you real quick, and then I've got like a list of them now. A book that lives rent free in your head.
Man, often sit and ponder. Let's see. I mentioned 100 Years of Solitude. I think that was a very good one. I won't get into that one too much more, but there's a couple. There's some more famous ones that really stick with me. Desert Solitaire was something I read in college for college that I thought was super effective. I had, as part of my studies for environmental science, we went to Death Valley for 10 days and we studied both biology and geology. And one of the prerequisites for that class was you read and do a report on Desert Solitaire. So I thought that was really interesting. But reading that book, I'm like, holy crap, Edward Abbey knows how to write. Like he is just coming in with a lot of energy, and he has something to say, and what he's saying is lasting a lifetime. Because not just for me, I went back to some national parks a couple of years ago during COVID, and you go to the gift shop and they're only selling one book. They're selling Desert Solitaire, like in the entire front of the national parks, like bookshop, or not even bookshop, but like gift shop. It's just all Desert Solitaire, and this is like in Utah, like desert country, where he was based out of, not far out of Moab, something like that. And I'm like, all right, clearly I'm not alone, but his take on the natural world and humans' relations to it and how we approach like land management, I thought is just like very interesting, because it's very modern in that way. And I mean, he's probably turning in his grave these days, but when he was writing back in the 70s, he could really see it. He was ahead of his time for sure.
Nice. All right. So some of my questions fall along the lines of best worst kind of things.
Oh,
so what is the let me start here. How long and this is a three-part question. How long does it take for you to as a reviewer now, when you're reading a book not for fun but to review it, to recognize a good book, to recognize a not so good book, and to realize that you are not going to finish this book?
Great questions. Let's start from the bottom. We'll go bottom, top, middle. Bottom, I haven't not finished a book in a while. And to be honest, it's not out of principle. I have nothing against not finishing a book. I think I've gotten lucky, and I'm just also quite stubborn. Like 100 Years of Solitude is another good one. I need to stop talking about that one. It's just stuck in my head. But it took me a long time to get through it. And I thought, man, maybe I should quit. But I was a bit stubborn, and I thought maybe there's something here for me. But on the other hand, I think if I got to a book that was just like very, very long, and I wasn't sure if there was anything really worth it at the end, and it wasn't going to say anything, to be honest, I would probably be okay with just like indefinitely pausing it. And maybe that's the cop out, is like, is it DNF or is it an indefinite pause? Because I do buy most of my books. And as I say that, I might have to backtrack a little bit. I'm still I've been in an indefinite pause on the 4th book of the Dune series for quite a while now, and I don't know if I'm going to get back to it because
No, don't.
I've not
Don't.
liked it.
Do not. Do not. I always tell people stop after 3.
I might, yeah. I really like the first 3. I got less than halfway. I'm into the 4th one.
It doesn't get better.
All right, I might decide here that this is my first like official DNF in a while.
See, you shouldn't listen to me though, because I DNF probably 60% of the books I start. So, you know.
Yeah.
Do you read in a bunch of different genres, or you kind of prefer one over another?
Yeah, I try to read broadly, to be honest, because I always think there's things that different genres can offer, and whether it's something about, you know, humanity or something about the world or something just about imagination and story and tension. There's so many different like themes and stories out there, so many different structures out there. People are playing in so many different ways and across time. I try to stay open to whatever. However, that being said, I've really tried to narrow it down to the things that I tend to like the most, which is like science fiction and fantasy, which is why I've really enjoyed WorldCon, really enjoying doing my reviews with SFF Insiders. But I still really like literary fiction. Literary fiction is just so wide, so that I can really fill my cup in a lot of ways. But when I look back, I still do a good amount of like nonfiction. I don't know why, but I still pick up a lot of weird like philosophy books. I don't even intend it, but it's just like, it's like, did I really read another 2 philosophy books in a year? What am I doing? I'm not a philosopher. I don't know philosophy.
Sometimes it's a good palate cleanser from Dragons and Magic and stuff like that, though.
Yeah, it can be for sure. So those are the main 2, but I'll be in nonfiction every now and again, like whether it's like not necessarily biographical, but some kind of, I don't know, non-fictional story, or maybe a book on sports or something that takes a data first approach. I don't know. There's all kinds of fun things out there.
So are you at a point yet where you can recognize what you're looking for a good review? You know, is it story, or sometimes the story's really good, but the writing isn't that great?
Yeah.
Right? And vice versa. So what is going to make something hit the boxes for you or not?
Oh, that's such a fun question. I think so many different stories are trying to do different things. And if you're reading, you know, a sword and sorcery book that's really swashbuckling, it's really trying to do something else and it's trying to work on a different level. And I really like to judge books against like the rubric that they're giving themselves. But when it comes to like what I like, I tend to like things that are maybe a little more reflective in that way, and just kind of thought provoking. It's a good question because there's so many different aspects. I'm losing the thread a little. I've been distracted by this it's a loud engine outside. I just closed the window. That's helping quite a bit. Isaac Anderson, that's a good question. Oh, wait, no, that's not a question. That's just a fact. Rat's observations on the history of the city's most unwanted inhabitants. I bet that would be a really good nonfiction, though.
So you can tell Ro and I have done this a long time because we both typed the exact same.
No, we didn't.
Oh.
So because we're also streaming on Twitch, it comes up twice.
Okay. So it gives extra weight to our comments now.
Right. So on the Twitch board right now, the chat, because the only person in it is me, it's just our 2 comments on there.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
That's what's happening.
Can we hijack for just a second and talk about Twitch?
Yeah, let's do it.
So
starting today.
Go ahead.
Starting today, we are now streaming on Twitch because we have a Twitch channel. We know absolutely nothing about Twitch other than it exists, and we can stream to it for
We've heard
free.
about it.
So there's that.
I
But
think
we
it was
have,
that guy we had the other day, and his wife had like 65,000 viewers on Twitch or whatever kind of nonsense.
yeah.
Amazing.
So, and what are we going to be doing on Twitch, Ro?
So, in much the same way that Bald&Balding started, which was just a casual conversation, we decided to go on Twitch last night, right? We said, yeah, we'll do that, and so we made a Twitch channel and blah blah blah. And today, I texted Mike and said, you know what we should do on Twitch, Mike? We should play Dungeons and Dragons. That'd be kind of fun. So, if you know of someone who is a reasonable dungeon master, who would like to play maybe a couple times a month for 2 to 3 hours on Twitch, let us know. Drop us a name. This is something that we're probably going to start probably in November, if we're honest. And if we can't find a DM, I'm going to end up doing it, and it's going to be the jankiest version of Dungeons and Dragons you've ever seen, because they're on version, what, 6 or 7 now, Mike?
6, I think.
And the last time I played, version 2 was new. So we would be playing old school version like 1.5, whatever I remember from 1989, if I have to do that. But the plan is, we'll have a couple of guests, and the guests will play characters, and those guests will change every episode, but the characters won't. So we'll get to see how new people play characters and how those characters develop with bunches of different authors kind of attached to them.
Cool.
So that's we're still going to keep doing this, of course, but
Yeah, we have no social lives, so that's why we can add more.
Yep.
And just to point to that, one thing I want to show, since people are making fun of my spreadsheet comment, this is a thing of beauty that I created. This is when I took my nephew to New York City, and I planned it out from 7:30 a.m. till midnight each night, what we were going to do, oh my God, I'm going to frame this. This is a thing of beauty here.
You're a horrible human being.
Amazing.
So yes, I'm going to print this out and hang it up behind me, because spreadsheets are wonderful. But anyway, that's me. Now let's talk about Grady, because that's why he's here. Before we start losing all of our all our watchers.
You haven't got to us yet, Grady, of what turns you off in a book.
Yeah, what turns me off? I've been lucky to not get too turned off, to be honest. I think, let's use that Dune 4th book, for example, though, because that did turn me off quite a bit. It's a book that was such maybe a tonal departure from the expectations that I had. The first 3 books were so kind of cohesive, I would say, even though the plot was very far ranging. It really goes a lot of different directions, and a lot of different types of things are happening. You get to the 4th book, which is a direct, there's a bit of a time jump, no spoilers, but it does directly lead off from the end of the 3rd book. But you enter a world that is so completely different than what you were expecting. And when that expectation isn't matching the reality of what's on the page, I think it can just be a pretty uncomfortable feeling that doesn't sit well, and it makes me wonder, like, what am I going to get out of this all of a sudden? And if I don't know anymore, then I'm skeptical to keep going.
So Grady, I will tell you, that book is about 50 years old, so I think you can spoil.
Yeah, the statute of limitations is up on that.
But the movies are just coming out. I don't know. But yeah, you're right. There's a time jump. Spoilers.
Is that like God Emperor Dune or something, or Children of Dune? Which
God
one?
Emperor, which is god awful.
Yes.
I remember reading them all, but I don't remember much about them.
God Emperor, he's a worm. The main character is a worm sitting on a throne, and
Yep.
he has no appendages. So what can you actually do? It is the most boring book that has ever been written that I've read the entire thing. Because now I just DNF. Then I was younger and foolish, and I actually read to the end. Now I know better.
Yeah, now he's just forever a worm in my mind. Maybe the worm comes to an end by the end, but I don't know because I'm not going to finish it. So
That's one of those books. If you know you're not going to finish it, you just jump to the end and read the last chapter and be done with it.
actually, that's a good idea. But I didn't know that until this episode. It was forever on pause until I think we decided here in person that I'm not going to finish it. So I can.
Yeah. I'm waiting for Bo to chime in about, me telling you the DNF is you should not listen to me because you end up DNFing 60% of the books like me.
Isaac, no.
Now, a rat, maybe. I mean, maybe that book is really good. We'll have to check it out and see.
They can be cute. Rats can be cute. The more domesticated ones, right? That people keep in cages.
You should read Song of Bones by Isaac Anderson.
Oh, he hurt his feeling.
If you like Redwall or, Secret of Nim, although he tends to write kind of dark stuff, so I don't know. Maybe you don't want to read. Depends on what you're feeling. Rats and mice are in general.
Oh, Ratatouille, he was all right.
Yeah,
never saw it.
Yeah.
You never saw Ratatouille? That's a damn classic. I will defend Ratatouille. That is a freaking phenomenal movie.
Let's gang up on Mike. I'm with you. Yeah,
Ratatouille.
Great.
The last animated movie that I saw was Aladdin.
Oh, but Ratatouille is much better. It's a damn masterpiece.
So you're not much one for animated movies. Aladdin was in a minute.
That's for movies, period.
I don't like. My brother for 15 years now has been telling me I should watch South Park or Futurama or God only knows. I'm like, I don't watch cartoons. I'm not a child anymore. I don't watch cartoons, and he still has not got that.
Dude, so if you're scrolling through TikTok or something,
look, that never happens. But go on.
Yeah.
And you see a Bugs Bunny cartoon, you're not going to sit there and watch it, like the Barber of Seville or something like that.
That harkens back to my childhood, so I can have relive those childhood things. But I'm not going to watch anything new that's a cartoon.
See, my wife doesn't, because you don't know, Grady. My wife is English, right? So she's a little more cultured than I am, which the bar is very low. And our, American upbringing in a certain age, your introduction to classical music was from Bugs Bunny cartoons, right?
Yeah.
So you hear a piece of music, you'd be out and about hearing a piece of music, and my wife will go, "Oh, that's very lovely," and I'm going, "Oh, this is where Bugs is on Elmer's head doing that little thing, and she just it totally ruins the whole vibe for her. That it's like, oh, when you attach it to a cartoon like that, but well, there we are.
They did a lot of operas in that show. Like they were always crashing opera houses, and Bugs was always like a conductor, and homage to the classics.
That's right. Kill the rabbit. Sorry.
Yeah,
right.
I grew up with that too. Yeah, it's not just nostalgia though, Mike. There's a lot of good cartoons out there. There's even something called anime now. Have you heard about this?
No, I avoid that like the plague.
You're pushing him now. Okay, let's start him with something simple.
Yeah.
104 Days of Summer Vacation, guys. Phineas and Ferb. That's fairly recent-ish in the last 15 years.
As I'm thinking, I did watch like the first 3 seasons of The Simpsons, but then I stopped. So I don't know which was later,
Aladdin or The years Simpsons. Ago.
One of those, whichever one was last. That's the last time I watched.
Like 1990.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah, my freshman year of college. Yeah.
Wow.
What if there is like an adaptation or like a sequel of like a book you really liked and it was animated?
Well, I will watch The Hobbit, the animated version, because the movies suck.
Yeah.
and the animated is just about perfect. So I watched that, but then I also watched that in the '70s. So again, it's me going back to my childhood.
They use that
Some say-
crazy technique to, is it called like stereoscopic or something? Where
Rotoscoping, I think it's
rotoscoping, there it is. Yeah, where it's actual actors, and then they were able
some bits of it. I mean, yeah, you could always tell where those bits were.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, honestly, it wasn't great. But when we were fed that 3-film nonsense from Peter Jackson, it became better because
Well, yeah,
I've never
I
seen
get
the
that.
Iron Giant, actually. I've heard that's good.
Until
He's right.
Ready Player One, I'd never heard of the Iron Giant.
You've got to step outside every now and then, man. Go get a tan. Go meet some people.
Yeah. The term these days is
Hey,
touch
Senna.
grass.
The term is what?
Touch grass.
Right.
Go outside, get some grass.
I do have to cut the grass tomorrow, so there's that.
Oh yeah. You'll get plenty of opportunity. That'll be good.
And then Saturday I will see a bunch of people because I'm going to Stafford Book Fest, so I will have to talk to people.
Oh, you will, but that'll be fun, right? When you're in the moment at least, and putting on the face.
Well, when I get a sale, I'm like, woohoo, this makes it worthwhile. I'm selling my soul a little bit at a time.
Is that how it feels, that you're selling a little bit of your soul, or is it just the marketing that feels like you're selling your soul?
The idea that I have to sell something, I'm like, I can't do sales. My God. I mean, I've told this story about 16 times, Rose heard, but I was at a Comic-Con and a guy, he was like 20 feet away and his eyes got real big and he like ran over to me and he's like, oh my God, you are my favorite author. I've never read anything better than your books.
Whoa.
And the very first thing out of my mouth, because I have no filter, is you need to find better authors. So
you need to read more, my friend.
This is my idea of sales.
It's funny that Mike says this, because if you go to his table at a show, he has like books from 50 or 60 other authors who he also sells. So you're doing yourself no favors here, Molman, by saying, I really hate selling stuff, and then asking people, hey, give me a couple of your books to sell at a show.
Well, yeah, but I buy them from them, so they've already made their money.
All right, fair enough.
So even if I start throwing them at people, they still made their money.
I love how unfiltered you are, though. That's really funny. I have heard though that like if you start selling books, eventually it doesn't take that long until you're someone's favorite author, and it's not a joke anymore.
It's weird. I've only had the one person tell me that, and I'm like, oh God, please don't let someone else do that to me. It's weird.
I can imagine it be a very unique feeling the moment it happens, right?
And I was I was completely befuddled when one family came up and they bought the book for the teenage kid, and then Dad goes, "Can we get a picture with him and you together?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure." He's like, "Can he come on the other side of the table?" I'm like,
absolutely not.
Sure.
Get over there.
And the dad is sitting there, oh, look at this, and he's just and I'm like, really? I'm eliciting this feed. I'm like, you're nuts. You need help. So yeah, I now that I have everyone else's books, when people come like, what do you like to read? I have my books, or I have these 60 other books. Let me tell you about those. And then after the first day, when I've made no sales of my own, I'm like, yeah, I should probably at least mention the plot of my books, maybe.
So Grady, before Mike starts showing his books, do book reviewers have groupies as well?
No, that would be so bizarre.
I love the review of this book you did, where you called it shite.
That would be amazing. I think book reviewers largely go unnoticed, but I I think if you were to make a comparison to a different medium, the only like big reviewers that get famous are like Roger Ebert or something. Like if you look at movie reviewers, and people either like, like them, find enough, or they like hate them, and they're like, oh, I hate that guy. In my experience, for whatever reason. I mean, to me, he's a legend, but I don't know if he
get that kind of reaction though. Siskel and Ebert, because there used to be two of them.
Yep.
Siskel and Ebert would often crap on things. I mean, they would just come right up. I think their original review for Star Wars, the original Star Wars, was none too impressive, right? I mean, they talked about how kind of cool the effects were and everything else, but you can find it still. I think he just kind of said, it's candy, whatever. So do you go out of your way to try to find the good in everyone? And it seems like I'm kind of keep asking the same question from different directions, but that's only because you haven't answered it yet. So
I know. We keep getting distracted. It's not because I'm trying. It's just we get distracted.
you're avoiding the question, and you're doing a hell of a job of it. Don't get me wrong. But I'm tenacious like that.
Please.
Statler and Waldorf, yeah, they're the best reviewers ever. They are just full on negative all the time, and the best part of the Muppet Show.
All right, so remind me, what's the question in full? What I'm looking for.
When you're reviewing a book, do you make a conscious effort? I mean, first of all, are you thinking about or taking notes as you're reading it? And do you make a conscious effort to show the positives of it, even if you only gave it like 3 stars out of 5 or whatever, to show the positives of it? Or have, if there's a book that you just really hate for whatever reason, and I don't mean just like, this book didn't do it for me. I mean, you just absolutely freaking loathe everything about it. Would you write that review and say 1 star, this book should not even be burned because we don't want the smoke infiltrating people's sinuses?
I love that description.
You can use that. Go ahead. That's free.
Thank you. Yes. All right. Everyone listening, everyone watching, please don't mind that he just said that and I'm going to use it. It's totally fine. But to answer the question, yeah, I try to look for the positive in general, but sometimes when you get to the end of the review, and if you're not going to have like a very long review and a very thorough review where you want to be really comprehensive and you just want to get straight to the point, sometimes the point is kind of a negative reaction, and the least I can do is contextualize that reaction, but I still want to be honest to it. And I think the best example of that is the Over Story, which was a Richard Powers book. I read another one of his called Bewilderment that I really enjoyed. It was a lot shorter. And then I read the Over Story. I think it won the Pulitzer or was a finalist for the Pulitzer. And I'm like, oh, it's a book about trees. I'm an environmental scientist. I love Edward Abbey. I'm going to love this. And I hated it. Like it really didn't work for me. And I gave it like a very low score. I said as much that it didn't work for me. I think I just gave it just a tiny bit of context. It's like, given my background, I think I was expecting something else. And if you have a different background, this probably is a very different experience for you. And so I tried to just like create a bit of a caveat is all, because I don't want to be in the business of like, crapping on people. But especially if they're very established authors and best-selling authors, they're going to be okay, generally speaking, and I don't mind. But if it's a smaller author, I would definitely going to be more mindful. And as I'm focusing more on more comprehensive reviews and being like a little more in depth, I think at that level, there's almost always good things that are going to emerge that it would be silly not to include. But, at the heart of it, I want it to be a true review and true to the experience that I had with it.
When I look at reviews on Amazon, and I'm pulling up a very specific book right now, And I've mentioned it on the show before, but not for a couple months. So we're going to do it again. So I go to the 1-star reviews if they have any
Oh,
first.
wow.
And so here's this person has thousands of reviews, but 2% of them are 1 stars. Let me just read a little bit of this for you.
Oh,
This
please.
is not a professional reviewer like you, right? So this is just someone. Oh my goodness, I had to force myself to finish this book. I'm in a women's book club led by a university English professor whose members consist of several doctors, a psychologist, dentist, and a private investigator. I was the only one of us who actually finished the book. We discussed why we hated it and came up with several ideas, including that it was filled with so much anger, gender animosity, and meanness among humans, etc., etc. The title of the review is "Worst Book Ever" in all
Yeah.
caps. So, but that book is, and I'm going to put a picture of the thing up here. Hold on. Give me 1 second. Sorry, I know this is horrible.
It's okay. You reminded me of another DNF though. This is my problem. I just block out memories.
This is one of the reviews from this book, right? Sunday Times, whatever. There was a Netflix series made out of it. I listened to it, right? And I was there. If you had asked me a half, 3/4 of the way in to write a review of this book, I would have said this book is freaking brilliant, right? Because the story was really good. But part of the way in, I actually did ask myself, do I like this book because of the story or because I actually really enjoy the narrator and the narrator's voice? Because I tried to picture those words on a page as I was listening to it, and it just wasn't doing it as much as, but the narrator made an enormous difference.
Yeah.
Okay?
Oh yeah.
But about just after 3/4 of the way through, you could see, you could feel it through the story that the author had written themselves into a corner that they could not get out of. And I was just kind of thinking to myself, oh my God, I only see one way out of this. And if she takes this way, it's a pure cop out, right? The only way that I thought she could probably end it, it would be a pure cop out. But I have to listen to it now to see if she can write her way out of this thing that she's done, right? She's painted herself into the middle of the room. She could not paint herself out of the middle of the room. And she did take the most extreme way out in the end, which totally was just, well, I haven't watched the entire series. I started watching it and just, other things came up. But for the authors out there, that is the importance of a good narrator. A really good narrator will make an book really shine.
This reminds me of a question that I've been talking with folks about lately. And I think the booktuber Bookborn did a video of this, and that's why it's been in my head. But would you prefer a book that had a bad ending versus a book that didn't have an ending? And we also had a comment about Game of Thrones, which reminded me of it as well.
A bad ending versus no ending?
Yeah, like an unfinished series versus a book that ended and the ending is just ruined.
Okay. So
or a Joe Abercrombie book that has no plot, so it has no ending. But go on. That's me throwing shade. Please.
This is the How I Met Your Mother dilemma.
Right now.
Right? Have you ever seen that TV show?
Yes.
Did you like the ending?
No.
See, I liked the ending.
Okay.
I thought it was okay. Perfectly fine. A lot of people absolutely despise the ending of that show, and they probably would have thought no ending was better. Right? They just thought the titular mother never really got a chance in there, and basically it's this guy telling his kids how he banged his way through 100 different women in growing up, and he's always been thinking about this one that got away, right? Blah blah blah. Well, you could look at it like that if you want, but I'm an optimist, so no. I don't know, man. Though a book I guess I'd have to have an example of a book without an ending that I've read.
I mean, there's Game of Thrones is a really good case study because we have the TV show.
I think the TV show kind of scratched that itch for a lot of people, though. And again, a lot of people didn't like the ending. But who knows? Maybe it was much better than what he had written. Maybe he actually did have something to do with them. Maybe he went and told them this is how it should end. You know, I'm just too busy swimming in my Scrooge McDuck pool of gold coins to bother doing it. You know, I don't know.
Yeah. I think for me, I have been turned off by endings and at times that just really kind of ruined it. But it's not so binary. It's not so black and white. I think in books, it's usually not so harsh. I think for whatever reason, a bad book ending, I'm more forgiving of than in other mediums for whatever reason. I think there's just so much more content that is holding it up versus like a movie or even a TV show where it's like a few dozen hours or something at most.
A bad movie ending or a non-movie ending is super annoying. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I think movies are kind of worse like that. Yeah, absolutely.
Invalidates the entire experience.
Yeah, Ted was very wise, except for when he got that that butterfly tattoo. That probably wasn't the best move. You got to use the sarcasm font, Tim. We don't know.
Yeah, come on, use the font.
So I will tell you, for me, if you want me to never ever read anything you write again, is end your book on a cliffhanger. Because my rule of thumb is if I buy a book, I get a beginning, a middle, and end. Because I paid for a book, I want the whole story. Don't tell me, and they'll conclude next book, because I will never read anything else you write. And I've read 2 books of Abercrombie, and I'm like, no, I go stupid twice. That's it. Never again. And I've found out what happens in book 3, and I was like, God, I'm so glad I stopped when I did. Most people love them. Don't listen to me. I am the minority, but I swear that I am right. Because I am, if nothing else, a sheer stubbornness, defines me.
I said stubbornness earlier too, but persistence, that's the more noble term.
There you go. There you go.
You're persistent in these beliefs.
Perseverance.
Yeah.
Cliffhangers are really good tools to get people to go from one chapter to a next, but I don't know that they're particularly useful to get you to go from book to book, especially traditionally published books where you're going to have to wait a year or two, right? I think had Harry Potter not come up with a good ending for every book,
that structure is perfect.
Right.
Having a school year be each book.
Right.
It was great.
So Grady. Yeah, go ahead.
Look, we're finishing each other's sentences. We're not finishing them. We're starting them.
One's Twitch, one's YouTube. All right.
How should an author best start a book? Because there's this thought of people that, if you don't have an action in like the first 2 paragraphs, this book is freaking going in the pile and blah, 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 which I think is utter crap. Especially with fantasy, right? Where in the first book of a fantasy series, you got to do a little, at least, world. It doesn't need to be describe the blade of grass world building, right? But you've got to set the stage. And you can't just jump right in with action because nobody knows what the hell's going on.
There's so much to say with this.
Have at it.
I think it really needs to be said. I'm not an expert or a published author or anything. So
that's not rewind.
No, you're a reader, so you're an expert.
All right. We'll rewind.
Brother.
I do some book reviews, so I have some opinions. But the landscape is really interesting because you are seeing the economy of attention dominating the conversation more and more and more, and people's attention spans seem to be getting less and less and less. And you see the philosophy of screenwriting coming into play more and more and more. And that means for a given scene, especially at the beginning, get in as late as possible and leave as early as possible. And I'm seeing that bleed into books more and more, including at the beginning, get right into the action, get right into the fight, the sword play, whatever. And let that be your beginning, let that be your hook, and then you can unwind it. So honestly, that seems to be the direction that folks are going, because that seems to be what's catching people. But I typically don't like that. I don't want a very slow, meandering book. Almost none of them get away with it unless you're a Tolkien or something. But even then, not even then, but when it was adapted into the movies, like we had the whole prologue, you know, and so fantasy has long relied on the prologue to give you action. If you think about the Wheel of Time, which I haven't read all of, but I've been enjoying that journey. But at the beginning of the first book, it gives you that epic prologue at the end of the world. Everything is collapsing, and that's your way to fake it, and then you can rewind it back into the beginning. And it's like clever so much that it's a cliche now. So I think for authors, it's a really difficult balance where they're getting pushed harder and harder to start action faster and faster, but it creates like a pacing expectation, I think, that's really hard to maintain. And I think ideally you're gonna find just a happy balance that maybe you can rely on the trope and make it a twist of some kind, of the prologue, because it has worked for decades and people are used to it and people aren't turned off by it. They just expect it and it's not new. It doesn't mean it doesn't work. It doesn't mean it's not effective. So something like that might still be like a viable option, but you don't just want to lean on something without, I think, trying to push the envelope or provide something new to it. Because attention spans are really tough right now. I don't need a first sentence or first page to be excellent, but if the first chapter is tough, you know, or the first 10 pages, I don't know, first chapters can be super long sometimes. So the first 10 pages are like really slow, then you know, that might be a little too much. I would want to see some kind of tension at that point. It doesn't need to even be a part of the main tension, but if it can echo it in some way structurally, then I think that's like an excellent job. But yeah, there's a lot to say on that.
I think there has to be something in that first chapter or whatever that at least leads you to believe that if you keep flipping pages, there will be something worthwhile at the end of it. Right?
Yeah.
Even if it's not all actiony stuff, you know, whatever. If the story is good, right? If they have a plot or a device or whatever that's interesting, that they're kind of selling well, I don't even mind if the writing's not great. You know, as long as it's not like, you know, seventh grader writing, it's fine. So story trumps writing, but it is more difficult to get into the story if you're stumbling over whatever.
So I would just say, because, you know, I took no writing classes ever, so I just write what I like. So for like my first chapter, I try to put something in there, you know, like a head scratcher, like for Proxima Station, a guy's getting his PhD in anthropology and the government says, national security, you have to get it and fly out to Area 50, you know, why on earth would an anthropologist be needed? You know, so I just want to put some wrinkle in there, like get people scratching their head, like, what the hell is this fool doing? You know, where is he taking me? And it gets much sillier after that. But you know, details. But I don't want to. If you start like in the middle of a battle, and I'm like, I don't know who's on which side. I don't care. You know, oh look, people are dying. That's boring. But if you give me something, you know, just like a wrinkle, like, okay, hopefully this will make sense later. Yes, hopefully. You know, something like that. That's all I need. It doesn't have to be, you know, tons of action. It just has to be enough to pique your interest, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. Brandon Sanderson, he always talks about promise, progression, payoff, something like that. I think those are the 3 P's. And that's kind of what we're talking about here. It's like, give us a promise. Like what is the point? And then you don't have to have the payoff of a battle necessarily and like a resolution to the promise. But if you can at least give us an enticing promise and then show a connection from that promise into a progression or a path of that progression forward where you're setting up some players, then you're off to a good start. Like you don't need to do too much. People, especially in if we're talking about fantasy, and people have a lot of patience, I think. Someone mentioned in the comments Robin Hobb, and I think that is an excellent example. Like, just like make it enticing. Make it, you can have mystery and enough be a hook at some points, but just show a bit of a promise and a bit of that progression. You don't, I think, need to give in to the pressure of that attention economy, needing to like make everything as crazy and loud as possible. To your point, Mike, if you don't know who anyone is and you have no investment, what are you going to care? Like, what's the
right?
There's no landing there. So maybe other people would disagree, but it never really works for me.
So Grady, I have a question for you that is perilous for you.
Perilous, okay.
And I've not asked this question before, so it's not what you think, bro.
Okay, wow.
So, is there any utility or use whatsoever for book jackets?
Yeah.
This is a fun question. Is there any use? Yes, I would say there's an art. If nothing else, there's an artistic use to them.
Bookmarks.
I think they're really beautiful. I don't like to use them for bookmarks because eventually you use it for one page too many and you bent it because it's like too thick.
So
there's one on the back as well.
Well, if it's too thick, then you can't reach the middle.
All right.
So I know this will be shocking to some people, so be ready to hold your ears. But if I get a hardback book with a book jacket, the very first thing I do is take the book jacket off and throw it away.
Freaking hate
throw it away.
Throw it away.
Oh, that is wild. Not even recycle.
And I ask you this because
he has a small altar in his back room that he burns it at.
Yeah.
Oh, Cena, that's another unforgivable. Oh, my nephew actually
books. They're supposed to be loved and used.
My nephew actually writes in the margins, like he has, and I'm like, oh my God, you Philistine.
You throw away the book jacket and you're calling someone else a Philistine?
Yeah, you're literally like ripping it into a bunch of little pieces and
Jesus, man.
So I will tell you, at Worldcon, I mentioned this to Kristen Schaefer, and so the next thing she did is when he's coming up too. Jeff Brown, what is his name? The illustrator.
Why are you asking me these things?
He's done like 1 million book covers now, and she's like, ask Mike what he does with book covers, with book jackets. And I'm like, I throw them away, like every rational person does. And I couldn't get anyone else. I couldn't find any other rational people. So,
Mike, have you noticed that a lot of your takes are like on the wrong side of the takes?
No, they're on the right side.
We've asked 100 people these 6 questions, all of which Mike Molman was on the minority of in every case.
I'm before my time. I am a visionary, and you just all are not there yet. That's what I'm doing.
Pineapple on pizza, Mike?
Absolutely, the best pizza.
See, you're wrong there. Okay, that's fine.
What's the best pizza? I didn't
hear Hawaiian pizza is the best
pineapple on pizza.
Do you just take up the saltine sweet and you're a purist about that combination? Man.
It just works. And if you put jalapenos on it, oh my God. Jalapenos, onion, ham, and pineapple, perfect pizza right there.
I would do a pickled jalapeno, to be honest.
You're going to die alone.
And that's what I want, Ro. I'm not married. Never have I ever been.
Good God, man.
Shadow here, he might be trying to find a way out. I don't know. Oh.
Trying to get out. Help me.
I have some updates. So, for those of you who have joined us after the first 5 minutes of this show tonight, you missed the fact that Mike and I are now, in addition to streaming on X, which most of you are actually watching from, we are also streaming on Twitch. Why? Because we are just, why not? We're there to make all the young people uncomfortable that we're there. And we have had one viewer the entire time on Twitch, but that was me. So we are there. Just your options, at least on Twitch, you can join the chat, if you don't want to be on YouTube for whatever reason.
And how do they find us on Twitch, Ro?
Damned if I know. Didn't we have a little scrolly thing for that?
You did, but I took it over.
Yeah, Bald&Balding, no spaces, spell out the and. On Twitch, you can find our channel.
Nice.
There it is.
So there you go. Now you can find us.
Yep, the and is all one word. And we are going to start probably in a couple of months. Mike has never played D&D, as you've all heard here before, and he certainly rolls like he has never played D&D. So we are going to start a Dungeons and Dragons game that we will be streaming on Twitch probably a couple times a month. If you know someone who is a reasonable DM, let us know who they are. But we will probably be going old school rule set 1 or 2, or just making it up kind of as we go with some basic rules thrown in to keep kind of control over the whole thing.
Does that mean Thaco?
Yeah.
Nice.
Is that they don't use that anymore?
No.
What the hell do they use?
I don't know, something stupid. They couldn't subtract negative numbers, so they changed the whole system around because math is hard.
For anybody who's young and doesn't know what THACO is, it stands for to hit armor class 0. So if you have something, it has a THACO of 15, it means to hit armor class 0, it needs at least a 15. So if you're armor class -2, it needs a 17. It's not difficult.
It was too difficult. They changed it around.
I'm so excited for you guys on their D&D journey. That's going to be amazing.
Journey might be a bit of a stretch. I think a hobble might be.
So since Josh from Already Overbooked is here, I will tell you that in the Proxima Station, I have one of the characters who starts shouting out numbers, and they ask what she's doing. She's like, I'm just reciting all the prime numbers going up to 100.
Calms me.
And that, that's what I do for fun. I've done this many times. I can tell you them all. Between
many times?
Many times.
I don't know.
If I'm sitting there, I can't fall asleep, I will just start reciting the prime numbers up to 100, and then I'll do that a couple times, and then I'm just right out.
These dreams must be awful.
You can't wait to get to them. Either that or they're great. It's like,
I think I've learned more about Mike tonight than I ever wanted to know.
This is great.
I feel bad for you, man. You're actually making me feel sympathy and stuff. It's very weird.
Your little heart.
I know, right? It's like my heart grew 2 sizes that night.
Oh, don't even get me started on that. The horror story that they played Christmas all the time. And just to remind you, Ro, this is a thing of beauty.
That will get you thrown in jail at some point in your life.
Are any of those blocks unstructured fun?
So I did have one because the person at work was like, you're not going to do anything spontaneous. Like, oh yes, I am. I have this half hour of scheduled spontaneous time.
Yeah,
and that just put her into a tizzy. Oh my God, she just kept like, you can't do that. I'm like, I did. See, it's right here in the box. Half an hour.
It's a contradiction.
I'm like, we can do whatever we want, but we have to start at Central Park and we have to be here by the end of 30 minutes. But it should only take us like 10 to get there. So that's 20 minutes of unstructured time.
Yeah, he thought of it all. That's wonderful. I mean, you're going to be in a city where that's going to help, and they're going to be very thankful for your organization, because otherwise you could get lost and just
Did you
spend
put
all
bathroom breaks in there?
Yes.
See?
No, you didn't.
See?
Did you?
Well, I mean, there's not a line for bathroom break, but I thought about it. I was like, okay, about this time, so we'll give myself an extra half hour at this place because we'll probably need to use the facilities, and then after lunch we'll make sure lunch is Yes, I thought of that.
It's in the meta.
Absolutely.
Now you didn't make one of these for Worldcon.
No, Worldcon was completely unstructured. I did not want, so I just worked at
Wow,
I was
personal growth. Nice.
well, no, I was at the freebie lounge and I just worked there. That way I didn't have to go to panels or anything like that. I could just hang out there and avoid people.
Yeah, you're just chilling at the freebie lounge. You were if you had told me you were trying to market or something, you were very smooth and savvy about it. You were looking like you were at home.
Give him a hookah. He's a Cheshire cat.
Yeah, with a big old smile, just like that.
Let's picture Mike with a hookah.
No, never.
It's a new for next episode idea or one of your campaign ideas. We go to the hookah bar.
Yes. That's what I need to do is get a bunch of level ones all freaking stoned up there and stuff. It's like, okay, you meet like a kobold, he kills you all.
Okay, Ro, I do have to ask the question though, because I'm on a street.
Go ahead. Yeah. You're
Grady,
right. You are.
Don't ruin it now.
Okay.
Okay. I don't know if have you seen our show?
I have, yeah.
So this is the question: T-Rex or Griffin?
But there's a setup, right? I thought there's a setup.
So you are going down the main drag of Portland. You are in a saddle, and that saddle can either be on a T-Rex or a Griffin. Which one do you choose and why? And EL just got in time.
Oh, thank God. Hello, EL. So just a reminder, I would never pander. I'm not one to pander, and I would never want to do that. But there's something about going down in a massive dinosaur that everyone recognizes and is afraid of, and they run away.
You want to rephrase that? Do you want to try that whole thing again? There's something about what?
Some about just riding a T-Rex down.
There you go. I mean, you're welcome to go down on a T-Rex if you want, but
go down. Oh, that kind of phrasing. Oops.
yeah.
There's a lot of different types of dinosaurs. One for everybody, but this one is a T-Rex and there's a saddle. Broadway is a beautiful street, and it's great when people are just like screaming and running, and you've got the whole street to yourself. That'd be great. There's other ways you can fly. How big are griffins anyway? How majestic is that?
I mean, I'm with you. I agree. But then again, I'm a road rager, so I want violence to the other drivers. I wish it upon them every time I drive to and from work, or drive anywhere really.
Would you get more mad if you tried to catch the drivers and they just like drove away from you because they're like faster?
Like in Jurassic Park. I mean, I was kind of rooting for the T-Rex because I really hated Ian Malcolm, the character.
Yeah.
Oh my God. All right. Well, Mike is somehow 4-0 in the last 4.
We may have to retire the question now.
I think it may make me lose my faith in everything.
I think you should keep it up. Yeah. 4-0. That's impressive.
I'll have to go back through all the videos and find out just how many and whatever you went, what your string is there, because it's a lot more than 4. But that's all right. You deserve a win every now and then, Mike. So that's good.
I mean, he wasn't with me with the book jacket, so
Well, that's silly.
But
I would say I take book jackets off if I'm traveling. So but I keep them, and then when I put them on the shelf, I have them on the shelf. But if I'm like taking them out of the house, I do take the jacket off because I don't know. I put them in a backpack and they run around, and I don't want to damage it. Not because I'm going to throw it away, because I like it so much.
Although I will tell you, I do have one book jacket because I kept it for Tim Wolf's book, Platinum Tinted Darkness, because he made a hardback and he put a book jacket on it, and so I do have one. It is the only book jacket in my house.
You sound so confused.
Disappointed with himself.
I sat there. I was like, "Do I throw it away? Do I throw it away?" I was like, "No," but I want people to see it behind me, which you can't see. It's way too small. But
let's
anyway.
have this conversation again next Tuesday at 7 p.m. on September 16th, when Jeff Brown, the artist, is here, and you can tell him what you do with his work.
Oh, that's what Kristen did in front of him. She's like, "Ask Mike what he does with your book jackets."
Yeah.
To Jeff Brown.
He's going to be here, and you're going to make him feel terrible.
Well, you know what? I cannot afford either the time or the money for one of his covers. So,
hey, good art.
I mean, it is phenomenal art. I will give him that. But
that's awesome.
All right. So next Tuesday, 7 p.m., September 16th, on your favorite YouTube, Twitch, or X account. You can see us there because we are taking over the world one little thing at a time. Like Ren and Stimpy. No, it's not Ren and Stimpy. It's Pinky and the Brain.
There you go.
I'm the brain.
Oh, nice. Way to claim.
What do we do tonight, Brain? Same thing we do every night, Pinky. Trying to take over the world. And with that, we'll see.